Hello, and thank you for catching today's episode. Now, I have to give you a heads up. Today's was a little bit different. It was our first time having a guest speaker, and there was issues on Twitch, so we don't have any visual at all. It's just going to be audio only, with one continuous image hanging up. Still, we hope you enjoy. Thank you for tuning in.
And we are live. I guess this is when this bizarre adventure begins. Indeed. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am Noah. I continue to be Noah, and one can only hope that I have been Noah.
If not, we have some things to talk about.
Serious questions need to be answered. With me, as always.
And I've been Taylor. Well, Tiger is 45. Whatever.
And, new to the podcast, who's this with us in the room? Sitting with us in this room right now where we record our podcast in the room together.
Yes, because we definitely record in a room. Nowhere else.
Who's this person?
My name is Emma, and you guys know me. And, you mean to tell me you didn't catch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure?
Yeah,
no. Absolutely did not.
Okay, maybe a little. Maybe, yeah. I may have caught the first 19 episodes earlier in COVID quarantine, but then I didn't finish it. I didn't finish part 2. There was a lot that I missed, that I didn't catch, you might say.
To be fair, I also tried watching the show once, 4 years ago exactly, because one of my little brother's best friends, Ty, asked me to watch it so we could discuss it, and I did not get past episode 3.
Oh, really? What bounced you off? I want to know.
It might have been episode 4. Jack the Ripper showed up, and I was done.
That was the bridge too far.
Honestly, just all the Dio stuff, and then Jonathan just not being smarter. And then Jack the Ripper showed up. I saw the signs. This wasn't going anywhere pleasant. I jumped ship. I was really scared for Arena. I'm not gonna lie.
You didn't love Jack the Ripper? What are you talking about? That was great.
Oh no.
Dio is a lot to handle in those first few episodes. Like, when I was starting the rewatch, he is so evil, like preposterously so. It's kind of hilarious, and it's hard. It's
Dio is a lot to handle.
There's a lot to handle on Dio. There's a lot in that boy. There's a lot in that boy Dio there. He's quite an evil boy. When I was watching it with a friend as a thing to do to like socialize and keep sane during the start of COVID. And then it just, I don't know, we
supposed to keep you sane.
This was supposed to keep us sane, so you can understand where we were mentally, that this was supposed to keep us sane. We petered out around, like, episode 19, so I had gotten fairly significantly through the series, but, we were going at such a slow pace. We were only watching, like, a couple episodes every other week or so. So, it's not like I had time to, like, get my head wrapped around all of the series, or was even following that closely at that point. Just because of how bizarrely this thing accelerates, and the fascinating places that it goes. My question for, our host here, Emma, I gotta know, how did you, like, catch this? Where did you first run into this?
Okay, so once upon a time, I was a freshman in college.
Okay, been there.
Yeah. And, I met somebody who would later become my fiancé. His name is Adam.
Ooh.
And, we began our relationship by kind of talking about the dumb stuff we like. I went on a whole lot of rants about Avatar.
Oh yeah.
Fair.
Yes.
Valid.
Mm-hmm.
Rant
and then eventually he was like, there's this thing I know that you might like. It's called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It's this series about this evil guy who's in this like a never-ending conflict with this family, and there's a whole bunch of random music nonsense in it. And that was how it was described to me. And I thought it sounded weird. And eventually we did watch it together, and I loved it, and now it's my favorite thing ever.
Nice.
That's exciting. That's really interesting to know. And it's so cool that this was a thing to bond over. Like, it's, I think if you bond over this series, that's got to be a sign of, that you have a certain kind of vibe together, really. This is a good acid test, really. Is what I'm saying. If this is a series that you can find romance over, you hold on to each other, dang it. Dang it all.
Yeah, we're sticking together.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So, when was the last time you did a watch through before like coming together and doing this? Just out of curiosity.
So this is bad of me. I'm a bad fan, but I've only watched it completely through once, and then have watched it like in parts in other places.
Oh,
that makes sense. That's
fair. I do love it though. I promise.
I did the same thing with Supernatural. You watch it entirely once through, and then you just go back and watch the highlight episodes in parts.
Mm-hmm.
And you never touch anything else again.
Well, one of JoJo's many defining features is a whole lot of filler. So yeah.
See, just like Supernatural.
It's astonishing that there can be so much like nothing in a show that accelerates so quickly.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Where did these piranhas come from? It makes no sense!
Is it time for a backstory about our Nazi friend Mark?
Oh my god.
Oh, fuck.
I think Mark the Nazi needs a tragic backstory.
I know, right? I want to know more about him.
We needed to really get connected to Mark the Nazi. So we would feel sad when Mark the Nazi died.
Let's get this back on track. So why did you choose to share this, Emma?
Well, I know both of you in real life, in case you forgot. And,
did we?
We did not.
Did we have a real life?
For the viewers to know.
Anyway, I think I heard, like, kind of randomly that both of you had tried to watch it and then didn't. So I was like, do it again. You have to, I promise. I promise it changes. It'll be fine. Okay, do it.
This was your evangelizing moment. This was you trying to go out there and save us.
Yes, precisely.
I don't know what would bother me more. Someone actually coming to my door trying to make me find Christianity again, or having to watch this a second time.
Taylor, why?
There's so much, and I was so confused. The names! What the fuck is going on?
It's so, honestly, I'm not even mad. This is such a unique series.
I'm not either. I was hoping for this.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious, and I'll give you that, but I was so confused.
So this series is one of the dumbest things ever written, and I just love it so much.
That's the thing. I think about it, and I don't know. Is it dumb? Is it like...
Yes.
Is it maybe brilliant?
It's
or is
brilliant
it like,
and also
dumb.
dumb. It's anything and everything.
Or is it maybe preposterously silly? I just can't...
All of the
above. It's the second one.
It's...
You're outnumbered here. I
think it's shooting the moon. I think it shoots the moon on some level. I think that it is... I can't... Because the thing is, whenever I watch the first couple episodes, and it's just, they're so out there, and they're so, tell as you're showing, and it's so, like, nonsense, I can only assume that the reason that this is a popular thing and not widely derided is because it's intentionally some sort of pastiche of, like, turn-of-the-century storytelling techniques, and, like, is a very knowing, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, camp classic, and not just exactly what it looks like.
Once again, you are looking for purpose and intention in something that, while had some, I feel like a lot of it was just thrown in there to throw it in there. But we have one last question for our host, and then we can get back into the whole discussion of it as a whole. Like, just everything. So, what did you think our reactions were going to be?
Exactly this. I expected a whole bunch of confusion, which I think is very fun.
She had
so
no
much
faith in us.
None. Yeah. I mean,
that was my first reaction too.
I'm not mad. I'm not upset. I didn't dislike it. I mean, there are parts that had me raising eyebrows, but honestly, when I got to the final episode and Jojo the penultimate episode, and Jojo was slamming an ultimate life form that eats vampires that's 10,000 years old with a Nazi aircraft, above an Italian volcano, I looked at myself and I realized I couldn't be mad. This show had brought me to this point where Joestar was slamming a 10,000-year-old vampire-eating ultimate life form with a Nazi aircraft over an Italian volcano. How could I be mad at a show that brought me to this moment?
I know that when we were first watching it, at least more than once, I asked Adam what we were watching and why. But, yeah, I got to that point, too.
The volcano was in Italy? They didn't just, drive over to a random ocean volcano?
It was some nebulous Mediterranean volcano off the coast of Italy.
It was off the coast of wherever, it doesn't matter, it was a volcano. That's all you need to know.
Which probably is why he was able to get, back to Italy and then back to the safety of, that one maid whose name escapes me.
Susie Q.
Susie Q. He was able...
That one maid.
He was able to rescue himself single-handedly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so... let's get into the meat and bones of this.
Okay, let's talk.
Please, yes.
How do you summarize JoJo's Bizarre Adventure?
I think it should be up to the host to start the summary.
Yeah. Okay, how are we gonna...
you, Emma, our dear friend, summarize JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Season 1?
For the sake of our listeners,
just
can you give them...
one.
Give them a spine to grab onto. Give them something to make sense of the hour and a half to come.
Oh God. Once upon a time, there was, two little British boys, and one was very good and one was very bad.
Okay.
And, oh God, I'm getting lost already.
How bad? How bad is this boy? He cheats on his math test? Like he's hanging out on the wrong side of town?
Like that... mixed with, the Grinch, mixed with, several other, lots of bad.
I don't know, I mean, is he kicking dogs?
Oh, yeah. He's doing lots of stuff to dogs. And, through, a random series of misunderstandings,
mm-hmm.
The bad boy, Dio, gets, adopted by, good boy Jonathan's family.
Okay, yeah.
And bad boy Dio really wants all of the money that Jonathan's family has through unspecified means.
Well, you gotta.
So he has this brilliant plan to kill Mr. Joestar Sr., and then that goes awry. But then also, meanwhile, there's this vampire mask on the wall, and
well, that's
Dio's
bizarre.
Dio's actually, I want to be a vampire now.
No one knows shit about archaeology.
Yeah, that's true, yes. Including Jonathan the archaeologist.
I'm pretty sure that's the subtitle of this show at this point.
So then the series takes a turn to being about vampire slaying.
Okay.
And,
how are they slaying the vampires? Is it traditional, Van Helsing sticks and guns and stuff?
No, they come up with this brilliant, very original fighting system called Hammond. Also known as some other names they call it briefly at the beginning and then never use again. And it's all about the breath, you see, like every single other martial arts thing.
Okay.
And it's the evil toxin to vampires. It's sunlight that you project through your hands, And basically a whole bunch of nonsense happens.
Okay. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And this results in Dio's body being disintegrated. But luckily, Jonathan has a perfectly good body over there that Dio can take. Oh. And so in order to prevent this,
as you do,
yep.
I'm going to take your body in a strictly heterosexual fashion.
Ah, yes.
Adopted brother.
Ah, yes. And then so
why does that keep happening in this show?
Oh, I wonder. I sure wonder. So in order to prevent Dio from doing this and thus wreaking havoc on the planet, Jonathan kind of drags him under the ocean in a way in order to be just kind of frozen there forever, and that works brilliantly, as you'll all discover in part 3, which we will be watching. That plan went perfectly, and Dio is no more. And
good to know. I look forward to never seeing him again.
Yes, and then
honestly, wasn't that the best aspect of part 2? No Dio.
Yeah, we get a break from Dio.
I kind of missed him sometime around the third scene where they handed it to the Nazis. I was like, maybe Dio was still...
If I had to choose between Dio and Nazis, I guess I'd go with Dio.
You gotta hand it to Dio.
He's just barely better.
Yeah. There's no, like, racism involved with him, basically. It's just everyone bad but me. And then, what happens next? Jonathan has a son who exists and doesn't really matter. And then Jonathan has a grandson, and he matters.
Oh,
His name
right.
is Joseph.
I forgot Joseph wasn't Jonathan's son, but grandson. I was like, what do you mean? He's the main character. Holy fuck.
No, you see, he is the grandson because his dad really doesn't matter, so much so that you forget he exists until like the penultimate episode when they explain the tragic backstory where Joseph comes from.
Yeah.
Yep. That is what happens.
So what happens to Joseph, Joestar? Jojo, if you will.
He's running around being an epic crime fighter in New York, as you do. And then, this weird vampire thing comes.
Oh.
And it turns out that, that's an indication that there's a bizarre adventure to be had over there in Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
So we go there, and, we start unraveling this ridiculous, well, not ridiculous, it's genius, actually, plot with these pillar men, who are actually, like, the brilliant superior vampires, as opposed to, like, they're the Chad vampires, as opposed to Dio's virgin vampire. And, yes.
It's funny you say
now
that, they look exactly like the Chad meme.
Yes.
As we all know, Dio ain't shit, but the Pillar Men, they're up there.
They are.
Yes.
You know what? Do like the Pillar Men. I'll admit, do like them a lot. I think we'll have to get into them.
I like some of the Pillar Men.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few superior to the others.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly, yes. Okay, so anyway, they exist, and one of them is currently being held by the Nazis. And so Joseph takes care of that by letting him loose. And then, they fight, and Joseph saves the day, because of course he does. And then, what happens? We need to go to Italy now. That's really important. And we find this dashing young man named Caesar. And okay, so they like train a whole bunch, and it's very epic and all that. And then they kind of just fight the Pillar Men one by one, and Caesar dies horrifically. Oh no.
Oh no.
And then
Tragic baby boy.
Yep. And meanwhile, like intermittently, we see Nazis some more. That's really exciting.
Of course you do.
You were just slightly gayer than Speedwagon, so you could not live.
Mm-hmm. And basically, this culminates in the ultimate Pillar Man, Cars, who I love, becoming the ultimate life form to ever exist because he is, in fact, not alive. And he can do things like morph into other animals and parts of other animals and a bunch of other random brilliant shit. And then, as Noah was stating before, he is defeated via a Nazi plane and volcano and Joseph surviving a giant fall.
Oh, just to add on real quick. Joseph survives, make it back to get married. None of his family came to the wedding because his fiancé and wife did not tell anybody he was alive. So they're at a funeral while he and Susie Q are on their honeymoon, going to visit them all.
Oh yes, we have a lot of big brain things going on at the end of part 2.
It's hilarious. That's the best scene. It's just
yes, I know, right? So then, 60 years pass or whatever it is, I forget. And Joseph has a daughter, and it's really, really annoying that she chose to marry a Japanese man and live in Japan. That's so annoying, isn't it, guys?
Yeah.
And then the season ends.
Racism is going to be a big
no.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
So Joseph needs to go over there because there's this weird thing happening with his grandson. The end.
Yeah.
Also, he does a hate crime in the airport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy was being Japanese in his presence. I mean, how could you not?
Part 2 also began with a hate crime. Not committed by him, but stopped by him. So you would think, hey, don't commit hate crimes. But then again, he did end up hanging out with a bunch of Nazis, so...
Yeah, spending extended time in America kind of regressed him.
Yeah, you do look at the numbers there, and you just, start of the series. Jojo, not from America, stopping hate crimes. End of the series. Jojo, spend some time with Nazis, move to America, hate crime. I'm not saying that he's trying to make a point, but maybe he's trying to make a point.
Yeah. A lot of thought went into this.
It's really, it's layered, it's artistic, it has meaning. This is,
Y'all
This is
keep
a
saying that.
Harmony Korrine level of intellect.
This
Y'all
series is like
keep
an onion,
saying
it's got
that.
layers.
Okay, so let's get down to
And
our
that was JoJo.
favorites.
There you go. You don't have to watch it anymore.
So,
Let's get down
You got
to,
questions?
like,
Too bad.
my favorite section.
okay. Favorite section. Would you do the scat that leads into this section, please?
I don't remember how that goes, but Emma, are you ready for the... I don't remember. Whatever.
But if
Rating Character Corner!
Yes, please.
You act like I do the same scat every time.
I don't know. So, Rating Character Corner is when we discuss a few specific characters or groups of characters in whatever it was we just consumed.
The thing that we caught.
Yeah, the thing that we caught.
that one thing.
That we caught.
You know,
that we
when
hadn't
spent
previously
hours
caught.
watching. So,
Alright, so
let's
we're
start off
starting with...
the two most important characters.
Jojo v. Jojo.
Yes, okay.
Who is
Which
the
one?
best JoJo between
Superior
these
Joe.
two?
I mean, like, just to open up, let's talk about overarching arc here. We just discussed Joseph, no hate crimes, 2 hate crimes with Nazi friends.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan.
Can I just say that the consensus is kind of that Jonathan is boring and inferior to Joseph's raving intellect?
Yeah, because that's the frustrating part, isn't it? Because Jonathan, his arc is like dog-loving young man to woman-loving younger, well, slightly less young man.
Yes.
It's very...
Jonathan is good guy. That's the character.
He dies with his enemy in his arms, with his enemy's head in his arms. I'm sorry.
Yes.
It's very, it's very stalwart. It's very bland. And it doesn't
Very
help that he
stalwart.
introduces himself by saying, I want to be a gentleman, not because I care about other people, but because I want to be a gentleman.
And meanwhile, over here, there's Joseph making friends with Nazis. He's really shaking things up.
Yeah, like Joseph...
Okay, can we discuss something else about him besides the Nazi stuff? Because, guys,
No.
that's gonna be later in the segment.
He makes
No,
friends with
it's
the
also-
one African-American guy in the entire show.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, he did do that and then commit hate crimes against another person of color in the same show.
I mean, that was decades later. Maybe other stuff happened to make him racist, besides hanging out with the Nazis. Remember, he gets introduced beating up some cops in, 30s New York, which has got to earn him some brownie points.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
That he loses by hanging out with Nazis and committing hate crimes later on. But initially, he's in a great spot.
I do want to ask, who do you guys prefer between them?
I mean...
I go against the grain and I love Jonathan. I think he's great.
I was not expecting that. Okay.
I got my Jonathan doll over here that you guys can't see.
I look forward to seeing that in the group chat later. I gotta
Yes.
say...
You can have all the Jonathan photos.
I mean, call me basic. But I just enjoy watching Joshua more. Joseph.
Joshua.
Joshua is a much earlier Joestar, as I understand it. Anyway.
Yes.
Wait, there's a Joshua... I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care. We'll get to them.
I think technically in the Hebrew it's Yoshua. But,
You don't care about the biblical origins of the Joestar family?
There's biblical... Okay. We're gonna continue.
Anyway, I just enjoy watching him more. I like Joseph more. I like his Sherlock thing he does in the fights. I like that he constantly does, one of my favorite anime fight tropes, the twist reveal actually I was doing this the whole time, or the I know you're about to say ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. That's just he has 2 jokes and I like the 2 jokes, whereas Jonathan had no jokes. He was the joke.
Okay, I guess I'm technically the tiebreaker then? Cause, alright, so let me just be honest. I'm gonna come clean. This show is hilarious. It is extra. It is out there. But I hate Jonathan. I cannot stand this man. This man is so dense.
Well, to be fair, you are personally offended as an archaeologist.
I am.
Which I do not have.
He doesn't know what
Yeah.
archaeology is. He doesn't know how to do archaeology. He doesn't understand the basic research involved in archaeology. But that's not why I don't like him.
Okay, stand
I
corrected.
cannot stand Jonathan for 3 simple reasons.
Oh,
One,
3.
he is so tense. It
I
is
know
so
that.
obvious what Dio is doing. And he's just like, wait, maybe it'll get better. maybe my father will realize on his own. 2, it feels like he is a compulsory heterosexual. Because he talks to Irina a handful of times. They do actually start dating for a little bit, then they break up, and she doesn't see him again until he nearly dies. Okay? Right when Speedwagon is talking about wanting to be his Nightingale, and then seeing Irina with him, and like, well, she would be better at it anyways, because, heterosexuality, look at the time period this is in. And the third reason, I really, really don't like Jonathan. He could have ended it all. It could have been done. Dio never had to come back, and he still kept letting him slide. Holy fuck, it's so frustrating. But, on that regard, Joseph's okay. He's not perfect.
Sure, he's a Nazi sympathizer, but, at least he's not a bad archaeologist.
No, okay, but, he's bad at everything else. Joseph is funny. Therefore, I can watch him more. Joseph is also smarter. Therefore, I'm not annoyed by him as much in the stuff he does. But, he is very racist. He is, very racist and sexist, and every time he opens his mouth to talk to someone that's either a person of color or about a person of color or a woman, I just want to smack him. I just want to go, fucking bitch, shut the fuck up, you're making me not like you.
Not to mention the fact where he was peeping on his own mom. I mean, he didn't know that last bit, but he was definitely...
Hey, we have not got into the content warnings.
That is a top-notch scene. What are you guys talking about?
I don't know, content warning. Peeping Tom and Oedipal complex.
Racism and Nazis, I guess. It's a little too late, but, we didn't... Oh,
there's no, time frame for this. It's just gonna be scattered all over. It's one of those. You've heard our Supernatural episodes. It's just all over today, folks.
Content warning nonsense.
It's one of those, but I feel like it's fitting for it to be one of those because this is Jojo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yeah,
Bizarre,
content warning, bizarre.
It's Jojo. It's gonna be out there. But, I enjoy Joseph better when he's, quiet.
When he's silent.
And standing in the background and helping the interesting characters do shit. In Jonathan's story, there was no interesting characters he could help do shit. They all had to help him.
Yeah.
But Joseph actually helps other people. So there's that. And Joseph doesn't try hiding Haman from everybody like Jonathan does, which, made no sense whatsoever. Irina can't know how evil Dio is. Yeah, she knows. If anybody knows, she knows.
I feel like, yeah.
It's
Jonathan. I love you, but dude, come on.
I guess the answer is I didn't really like either of them.
You know what, that's fine, because we have space for, the best Jojo, who you will meet next.
Oh, we're meeting the best Jojo next? Did you hear that, Noah? The best Jojo is next.
The best Jojo is coming next?
Actually, you know what? There is one JoJo out of the JoJos that were introduced to us that I did really enjoy.
Oh?
That was George Joestar II, Jr., who, was like, I don't have Haman, but that doesn't mean I'm going to, stop my significant other from training, because that's her right and her heritage, and if she can do it, great for her. And, well, my boss is clearly a zombie, so I'm not gonna let that fly, and dies for it. But you know what? He was competent. He knew that it was not his place to tell the women in his life what they should and should not be doing. And he died before I could dislike him.
At least George Joestar drank his respect women juice.
There's that.
Yeah, in JoJo, there are, like bits of progressivism, in some places. Some the ones that weren't, censored out by the editors. And it's just quite amazing to see.
I'll give him that. George is cool. George Jr. is cool.
George Jr., you're cool. You can stay. Everyone else, thin ice.
Out. Okay, but did y'all even remember he was a character until that final episode where his backstory gets shared? Because I did not remember he was a character until then.
I mean...
Well, it's like I said in my wonderful comprehensive summary, he basically doesn't matter. And then here we have Joseph.
Yeah, seriously. And that was sort of the weird side effect of, like, wanting to do a story that, like, jumped forward a couple generations, but also didn't want to mess with, like, the in-betweeners, you know? It's very... Yeah. We could probably just do a whole, like, probably make a whole essay just doing side-by-side comparison between the start of Part 2 and the start of Korra. Like, a lot of similar parallels. Uniquely gifted magical martial artist arrives in New York or New York adjacent building at the dawn of the 20th century, does some cool heroic things, but also demonstrates a sincere lack of competence, and is eventually wrapped up in crazy stuff that involves flying people with superpowers.
Also, kind of a lack of empathy.
Certainly a profound ego and an interest in personal advancement over much else.
Yeah. Alright, so, there's also another type of important character in, this show that I've noticed.
And that is blondes.
Yes.
Yes, the blondes.
Blondes.
Why
there are the
so many
JoJos,
blondes?
and then there are the blondes. And we're not talking about the Nazis, that's another section.
Holy shit, yeah, those guys too! There are so many blondes!
There really are just JoJos and blondes in this series. These are the two types of people in the creator's mind.
Don't you worry, guys. Don't you worry, guys. We get way more types of people.
There are so many blondes. We broke it down into the section blondes to talk about, and there was 3 groups.
Yep.
Blonde best friends, blonde lovers, blonde love interest, and the blonde lovers are also villains.
Yeah.
It's really just like different kinds of romantic interest in blondes. You've got the ones that are friends, you've got the ones that are lifelong passionate partners in complex relationship, aka arch enemies, and then of course you have women. Which, you know, I take them or leave them, really, if you ask me.
Wow.
Sometimes, you know, they're fine.
Stirring.
They're fun.
So guys, who's your favorite blonde? Tell me.
Speedwagon.
Oh,
Speedwagon,
ooh.
Yes.
Wasn't
He's
one
your
of the
second.
Pillar Men blonde?
No.
No, they don't count.
They don't count. Okay.
The pillar, I don't think any of the pillar men were blonde. I think Wamu had white hair,
Okay, yeah.
which, you know, we're talking about pillar men. Best one.
Best one. Gotta be. I mean,
Yeah,
let's
he's
see
pretty
here.
great.
I don't know. I have to bap around on this one. I mean, Speedwagon is fun and all. He is fun and all. I don't know. Dio is just so intense. He's just so evil. I mean, who burns a dog on their first episode?
Just you.
And then he makes a woman eat her own baby. I mean, come on. That's another level of evil. That's hilarious. He's like a John Waters wrote an anime villain.
Apparently, Santaga was supposed to be blonde, like he is in the manga, but he's not in the show. Santana? He's got like dark black hair that's sometimes red in the show.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that for you, Noah.
You've said Santana, the pillar man that everyone remembers and loves most, yeah.
I was expecting him to come back. I was not expecting...
Santino or whatever?
Yeah.
Santino?
San Viento and then Santana are his two names. And
Yes.
I was expecting him to come back, not the Nazi he possessed.
Yeah. It was funny. He really, San Viento, he really, if we can get off topic here, which is what we love to do here, he really set me up to think the Pillar Men were going to be a lot more difficult to kill, because they were all like, oh yeah, you've got to eliminate him entirely, so he can't possibly come back at all. And that was not the standard of killing for most of the Pillar Men to follow.
I think the most difficult one was ECDC, because he came back twice.
Yeah. And
then Cars
Cars
didn't really die until the end.
He never died.
Cars just sort of,
He's still out
he
there.
got turned into an asteroid.
He's still out there. He's just brain dead.
He's puttering around. It's like Ultron at the end of New Avengers. He's just sort of out there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know how to.
You know, he got blown into the stratosphere, you know?
So I think my favorite blonde would have have to be Dio, I think, ultimately, just because he's so preposterously evil that it makes it hard to watch the first couple episodes. And that's more than you can say for most, anything, really. I mean...
Even Palpatine is...
Like, Sheev is fun.
He has an easier evil that you can take in than Dio does.
Yeah. Sheev at least has, like, a, he is... fun to be around, to watch Sheev maniacally plot things. Dio is just, like, the biggest jerk, and his only goal in life is to be a bigger jerk, and it's just hilarious.
I think what cemented Speedwagon as my favorite character is actually part of the reason why you really like Dio.
Oh, yeah?
Because when Dio goes off about how he grew up poor and that's why he's evil, he has to be to survive, Speedwagon's like, yeah, so did I, and I'm not evil, so...
Speedwagon just barges in and says that's bullshit.
Yeah, no, he just says that's bullshit. Take it somewhere else. You're just bad, dude.
Dude, you had daddy issues. You can't use that to excuse being a jerk.
And I just gotta say, I appreciate that, because I really thought the whole first arc was about how poor people are inherently bad. Until Speedwagon's like, nah, that's not how things work.
No,
I'm
it's
so
just
glad
you.
for that.
It was just you, actually. Actually, it was you the whole time.
It was just you. Emma, who's your favorite blonde?
Oh, yeah.
Of the options here, Speedwagon.
Oh, yeah. That's fair.
No, nobody picked any of the love interests. And
He's such a good
apparently
boy.
the Joestar men go straight for blondes, except for George II.
Who gives a fuck about the women, okay? Speedwagon.
And nobody even mentioned Caesar.
Nobody mentioned Caesar because Caesar is amazing and lovely and great. But he was
But Speedwagon.
the second version of Speedwagon who didn't get to live.
Uh-huh.
I like Caesar, but Caesar made two mistakes, which is why I think he's below Speedwagon. And maybe
Yes.
Emma will agree with me on these. One, he's introduced already associating with Nazis, talking about how great they are.
Okay, yep, that's a mistake.
Accurate,
Yep.
yes.
Yeah, so, issue right off the bat.
I'll give you that one.
Uh,
Nazi sympathizing.
Yeah. Two, which, Speedwagon does later, but not to the same extent. He's not giving us how, they're just boys next door who aren't bad. Like, fuck off, Caesar. You're wrong. I don't think you know who Mark really is. But whatever, buddy. And two, he never has a moment filled with sexual tension with Joseph where he's like, but I must not say anything because Susie Q.
I mean, I was gonna say there's tension. There are definitely tension moments, but it's never like I have to go away, otherwise I'll be the third wheel to his compet.
Yes, exactly. Speedwagon got put through the ringer. He didn't have Haman or Hamon or whatever. They pronounced it two different ways in the dub. It's said differently in the first part than it is in the second part. So, whatever.
Once again, literally nothing consistent.
Yeah, like,
I mean, that's not even the fault of the creator. That's just, like, the voice directors being weird.
It's just the spirit of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, just infecting every little aspect.
Yeah, but, like, Caesar had powers, and he was still kind of shitty, and Speedwagon didn't have powers. And he just
followed Jonathan around like a lost puppy.
Yes.
Yeah. The love that could have been. That's really what defines the blonde best friends, truly.
Even the blonde enemies, what could have been.
Yes. Let's talk about the blonde lovers. I mean villains. Because I think those are the loves that are, when it comes down to it, really. I mean, Dio kind of personifies this, and I think that we can call Was an honorary one. He has white hair. Let's just say he's really blonde.
Okay.
Wamis is... He and Joseph have, like, this whole intense final battle that scream, please, guys, please just take your sexual energy somewhere else, okay? It's not here for show. Your mother's watching. It doesn't have to happen in the arena from Roman times that you apparently rebuilt, okay? It doesn't...
It needs to be the Flavian Amphitheater, okay? It's very important.
Listen, the Empire's not coming back. I don't know if this is where Lamas had his fling a few centuries back, but he's very intent on it. He even killed Caesar, and that only made Joseph respect him more. So...
Okay, let the record show this is my first of many. You do not, in fact, gotta hand it to him. You don't have to form this weird, intense warrior respect. And you know the thing is they kept no homoing all the time. Like, Wamus is like...
we did a homo...
Like...
We did a homo every 50 seconds and the editors will go mad and not let you publish this.
I don't know if this would even count as queer baiting.
Like, he looks at Caesar, whom he's about to kill, and Caesar's like, use the last of his hormone to capture the, like, special, like, lip ring with the antivenom in it, and he's wrapped his scarf around that, and he's put it in a bubble of his own hormone blood, and he's released it, and then, like, the guy, you know, what's his name? Wamus?
I think so.
Localized to Wamu.
Wamu is like, I'm not, you know...
His real name is Wam.
I'm not going to I'm not going to burst your bubble. Not because I'm sentimental about you dying, because that'd be gay. But because I respect you as a warrior, which is different from sentiment.
Guys, I want to throw this out here, but he straight up isn't allowed to feel sentiment.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, Cars stops him. Every single time Cars stops him. We even, right after he dies, we get a flashback to the past where he doesn't want to kill a kid. And Cars is like, well, fuck it, only the strong survive. And so Wamu takes that as, like, his mantra for life. And he only has relationships with people who might be able to beat him.
Yeah, his last words are like, only the strong have lived. And I'm like, you really do not gotta hand it to this guy. This weird...
You really don't. You really don't, but at the same time...
He's the nicest of the three.
He's the nicest of the four.
Of the four. It's definitely... After
like
Dio, it's really
character.
a relief to have the Pillarmen and then have Wamu be, like, a kind of a decent guy, like, to the people he's fighting, and not, like, constantly trying to shatter them body and soul.
Emma, I have a question, because maybe I'm misremembering, but in the... archaeological findings that show a mural, which is fucking whatever. Yeah. There's a ranking system of the Pillarmen, and Satana is the lowest, but then it's Cars, ECDC, and Wamu is the third highest, right? Second lowest, third highest?
I believe so. They're beneath Cars. Cars is the ultimate.
Yes. Okay. ECDC and Satana were children when, like, Cars and Wamu kidnapped them and raised them after committing genocide of everybody else of their kind.
Yeah.
So why is ECDC above Wamu?
I don't freaking know.
Because Cars knows there's not that sentiment in ECDC that is in Wamu. Even when ECDC dies, Wamu's like, I gotta get revenge for him. And Cars is like, no, he was weak. He died. Fuck off.
And yeah, and there's still that sort of, like, weirdness that they kill ACDC first before they get to Wamu.
Mr. ACDC, the character.
Mr. ACDC, the character.
Yep.
It's... I just pronounce it ECDC because it's E.
Is it ECDC? I kept calling it ACDC.
It's ESIDISI.
I kept hearing it as...
SCDC. Because we need to turn this into an actual name because, you know, America dubbing thing, yeah.
But it's that whole thing where Mamu is like the Pillarman who gets to show emotion, but then he's constantly criticized for showing emotion.
Yeah, it's...
They really didn't have to do that.
They're very... That's the thing, you know? We'll be getting into this more in just one section, but, like, this show, it's gay. Very profoundly... This is not heterosexual television show. Give it a Google. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Look up the Pillarmen. Just look at the Pillarmen.
Look at literally any of
Just look at literally any of the characters. And then look me in the eyes on my podcast where it's audio based. Look me in my podcast eyes. Look me in the eyes. Tell me this is a straight show. It's not.
There are people who will get so mad at you for saying that.
I do actually have a question that could lead us into the next segment, guys, because this actually covers the last of the blondes we have to talk about, and that is the blonde love interest. Do you guys think they have the women be blonde because they can't let the Joestars get with their best friends and villains who are blondes? Because they're guys?
I honestly don't think it was that thought out, but I hope so.
I think it's just because they think brunettes are like incomplete women. Which is why it's okay for a brunette to be good at fighting.
Okay.
Wow, I hate that. I did not think that. I really just thought they were trying to substitute. Like, oh yes, here's the blonde best friend who clearly loves him, but we can't do that. Here's the blonde villains that clearly have a thing for them, but we can't do that because we can't be gay. And then, so we're gonna give them blonde women instead.
That, it definitely could be something like that. I mean, it all I don't know what was going through this creator's head. Maybe they just, like, thought blonde hair was a lot more exciting because they didn't see much of it anywhere.
Also a completely possible reason. There's a lot of that.
Ah, boy.
Alright, so, Noah, do you want to introduce the next segment?
Yeah, okay, I'll do that. There's nothing else to say about the love interest because the show has nothing interesting else to say about the love interest, which is why we're going to move on to... Did you mean that? It really sounded more like a fit than scat. I'll work on that. Maybe I'll just like get an actual instrument in here. But welcome to Did You Mean That, where we talk about things we think they might not have meant, but they certainly seems to have. And I just want to open this up with the one and only topic that I feel like we need to discuss here. Did they mean that? I can't believe it's not homosexual. Because I can't believe that this show is not gay. But the thing is, it's not that I think it's gay. I think that it is, like we've said, this is an intensely comphet show in every corner. The Pillarmen, profoundly patriarchal. The weird, like Jonathan Joestar's insistence on protecting women, not because he wants to, like, protect women. He explicitly says that he doesn't like the woman he's protecting. He's just doing it because he wants to adopt the social role of a gentleman. He is literally compulsively acting out heterosexual interest. And then all of the strong relationships, whether it be with his loved one dying in his arms, with his hated villain dying in his arms, or with Speedwagon, his like closest lifelong friendship, who is actually like talking about how close he wants to be to Jonathan but can't, to like all of the bromances that emerged during hormone training. Like it is very, it is the same thing we see everywhere else, right? All the strongest relationships are among the men. The women are a weird afterthought. And how can you look at a show like that with art like this? Again, look me in the eyes and tell me that this is straight art. How can you look at that and not say, no, this is a pretty intensely comphet show? Like, all heterosexuality is thinly veiled. It's not particularly compelling narratively relative to all the other relationships that are being written. They're clearly not the focus of the creator. And they're not the thing that's most exciting to you as a viewer.
I mean, I just gotta say, Irina was not interesting until she was old and stopped giving a damn.
Oh yeah, old Irina is excellent.
100% accurate, yes.
If you look at her wiki, it says she got an attitude when she got older. But, like, I don't think she had an attitude. I think she was tired of putting out bullshit.
She was, she had raised a whole, Joseph Joestar. She had to get herself together,
Yeah.
But Emma, you said an interesting thing when we were talking in the group chat, and you said the creator wanted to put more progressive stuff in the books, but
I believe so. I have not looked thoroughly into it, but yeah, that apparently happens several times.
Okay.
Like, one example is that, like, I believe he didn't want Lisa to be knocked out and useless in the last fight, but the editors were like, no, have the big strong men do the things.
Okay.
I believe that
I want to believe that too, because it's so bizarre that Lisa goes from being like quietly competent to genuinely competent to immediately unconscious in the span of like one episode.
I have so many issues with that. I really thought she was finally gonna be the female character who gets fleshed out, who's allowed to be complex. But, then she gets replaced with Caesar, who dies saying, this is what I must do. Everyone in my family dies sacrificing another, and I, like my grandfather, will die protecting a Joestar because we are dedicated to them.
And did you notice that she, like, just about the same time that she became a sexy lamp, she also became a mom? Like, retroactively became a mom? Like, you could be cool and mysterious and something to ogle at all at once when you were just this woman But now that you're a mom, you've got to be unconscious sexy lamp.
I do gotta say, I'm glad they did the whole, we gave her to Strizo because we couldn't take care of 2 kids instead of, yes, her and George were raised together and now they are married.
That's too Jane Austen.
Yeah, that would have been weirder.
I like the change, okay? I'm glad they didn't grow up in the same household. I can be more forgiving of that.
Shout out to The Flash on CW.
Shout out to Dio and Jonathan, guys. It's in this show. It's in the first part. Holy shit. And, I don't think the two like each other. And I know we disagree on this, but there is something about how Dio is so obsessed with power over Jonathan that makes me think
that's questionable.
you are also...
That's not
it's not
kink.
healthy. I'm not saying it's healthy. I'm simply saying Dio is the type of person who confuses power for everything and would definitely be into dominating a partner.
Now, wait. May I just say that in the future parts of JoJo that don't exist where Dio is not there, may I just say that your opinion will not be changed.
Is this in the part where...
So we gotta admit, it's a little weird.
Is this the part where Jonathan is just no, I'm sorry. The new JoJo is just constantly wearing a massive chain around his neck.
Can't say.
Also, I just want to point out that ring that had the antidote there were 2 rings that poisoned him originally. And guys, it's so obvious what those were supposed to be. And the ring with the antidote is pure white, guys.
Yes, are you trying to imply something? Are you suggesting maybe some symbolism?
I guess it's simply that I can't believe it's not homosexual. And it's Caesar giving him the antidote with his dying breath, I suppose.
Blood.
He's just giving it to him, with his dying breath.
But also, Joseph not using it until after he defeats Wamu.
That was fucking nonsense, yeah.
No, I don't think it was nonsense. I think it's also that, oh yes, Wamu and I are now connected.
And now it's time for
Caesar's dead.
It's time for the exchange of power,
Yes.
Yeah, it's time for the exchange of power that is so...
It's very, this is what happens, not just when your characters are all semi-naked, absurdly muscular men constantly flaunting, but also just, again, your strongest relationships and the most consistent and most explored dynamics are those that occur in combat between men.
I also kind of feel like this show highlights how often power is used in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
It does,
in the day-to-day. Yeah. And sex, even though sex never happens in the show, which is shocking considering some of the stuff that happens in the show.
I know, right?
Yeah, they'll burn a dog alive, but they're not gonna show sex.
I don't know. It feels like the show is trying to drive that connection home, just how much the two are entangled, but then it keeps doing it in ways that are so unhealthy. And okay. I think I see what you're trying to drive here, but it makes me uncomfortable.
It's such a fascinating thing. If you're watching this and if you're listening to this and you would like an object lesson in how you can make a thing that is so patriarchal that it shoots the moon and comes around back to gay, because of course patriarchy, among other things, is built on the constant fear and, exercise of demonstrating how you are not either A, woman, or B, gay. The two things that most terrify, straight men in the patriarchy,
God forbid.
It's this is an excellent case study. It's very, it's very 300 in that sense. Oh, look at all these scantily clad macho men wrestling each other into submission. Heterosexually, of course.
And okay, so forgive me, I'm going to tie it to anthropology real quick.
Please do.
That is literally the subject of so much study and research within anthropology and the language used on people, especially, and excuse me, how I'm going to mention the F slur.
Yeah, the specter of the...
You guys know the F slur when I'm talking about, especially when it comes to homosexuality. There's a whole paper titled, Dude something F-slur. I don't remember the exact title, but I had to write a paper over it. And the whole paper goes over how terms like that are not only used to condemn people who show homosexual tendencies, but people who enjoy things that are inherently considered feminine within the patriarchy and the different societies are in. Like, so a white guy might be called an F-slur for dancing, but a black guy's less likely to because that's more accepted within that ethical community. And I'm being generalistic because I'm just trying to summarize the paper's main points, but it kind of feels like this show is doing that. It feels like this show is a teenage boy who has basic understandings of how to avoid getting terms assigned to it and is frantically dancing around it so they don't get assigned such terms. And I'm not saying the F-slur specifically, but that is what the main paper covered and how far teenage boys will go to avoid being called that. It kind of feels like the show is going to the same degree to avoid being accused of homosexuality.
Yeah. It's
like all together.
And we haven't even brought up the point where Joseph dresses up as a woman to try and sneak into a Nazi base, a thing he does. And then there's like a whole sequence where he gets called a sissy, and I'm sure that there is a some or other very colorful Japanese term that they were replacing with sissy. It's very clearly playing on that sort of anime trope, which is the fear of the man dressed up as a woman, but like badly. This weird pronounced transphobia that is just all over, I mean, it's all over here too, but it's also all over there.
It is universal.
There's so much, and it's really interesting, but also kind of disappointing that it's there. It doesn't feel like the show's trying to make a point on it. It's just following the crowd.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. On such topics.
And the truth of the matter is, I'm not sure it's trying to make a point about anything, In our kind of, in our chitty chat, warm up preamble, plan everything session before we started, sitting down, streaming and recording, I mentioned, that I couldn't tell if this was like some sort of intentionally super stylized commentary on, camp and turn of the century literature figures and stuff like that. But the truth of the matter is, I think this is just a show that is taking like really common tropes, cranking them up with maximum stylization and, using a storytelling, methodology that is kind of unfamiliar to me as like a Western observer that kind of favors telling more than showing and not telling. And, all in all combines to make something that is super campy, super loud, super out there, not to be a commentary on things, just to be that thing. And as like a side effect of being a thing turned up to the maximum degree, you become a commentary on that. You're demonstrating the ways that thing operates and the way that has like a developed worldview. So I think that what we're seeing here is just genuinely, this is how like quietly gay a lot of this like, media really wants to be and can't.
Or even just, it's how much media like this is scared to be like that.
And
which is kind of what I took away from it, but again, it could just be because of my perspective on media such as this due to like all my culture anthropology classes and linguistic anthropology classes. It feels like it's scared to go there and wants to avoid it, but also wants to keep being extra bizarre and just extra out there because that's the joke.
Yeah, and it's so hard to like, and Emma, is there like any help you can offer in this respect? It's hard to tell as an outsider observer, not a part of this culture that's like producing the show, to tell what is part of the joke and what is just something that seems bizarre to me because it's something, that I'm observing from the outside, It feels like to point out the character design specifically and how muscular and how like mostly unclothed a lot of these characters are all the time. I mean, is that a thing that is like, I don't know if commonplace is the right word, but does it stand out? Do you get the impression that stands out as much there as it does here? Because it stands out a lot here.
We kind of accidentally walked into Mizan and stuff. Why does this feel so extremely bizarre?
Yep. Sorry. Whoops. Pretend I did some scat there. Insert scat here. We're talking about mise en stuff, the part of the show where we talk about everything that isn't, the characters or story. Why does this feel so extremely bizarre?
I honestly would not say that I'm much more of an expert than you guys are at this. I have been meaning to learn for so long, and I'm not. I mostly just watch Jojo, just like having fun, cruising by.
That's fair.
That is fair.
That is an entirely valid reason to consume media.
The giant guys with not much clothing is not, like, super unique to Jojo, though. They do turn it up, of course, but that Jojo didn't invent that at all.
Okay.
I will say that.
As someone who watches a lot of anime, I am highly aware that Jojo did not invent that. However, Jojo goes further with it than I have seen most animes ever go.
We take the things and we turn them up.
I guess that's why it's so extremely bizarre.
That's the bizarre. Here's the stylism. Here's like this like very intentionally formalistic manga inspired, painting and art. It's not really formalistic because they're faking the form of other media, but this very heavily, inspired by, how manga is written and drawn, and alternate coloring inspired by Gauguin, apparently. And it's very, combine that with storytelling techniques and then crank it all up to maximum nonsense. It's so much.
It is much.
The
show is much, I agree.
The show is much. And okay, so the Haman stuff that's going on.
Yes, want to talk about Haman?
That is also extremely bizarre and cranked up a shit ton.
Oh, yes.
And I'm just gonna point this out. I know I posted this in the Discord, but Noah, you kept pointing out how Sam would say, in almost every culture, there is something where this happens, or folklore or whatever, and supernatural. But Joseph does the same thing with things that conduct Haman, or Hamon, or whatever. It's the same thing where everything does except for stuff that's inconvenient. And he always says the same line. That's a great conductor of Haman!
That is another thing consistent with JoJo. There will be, a thing that, doesn't logically follow that would be the solution, that becomes the solution. They have to talk about how it's the solution a whole bunch.
Like how he, in the fight with, Metallica, he is, he pulls out the oil-covered string, and he's like, it's a great conductor of Hamon, and, uses it to cut his arm off. Or was that with Was? Anyway, in there, oil is a great conductor. But earlier on, when he was doing, the Tower of Doom trial by, fire, as part of his Hamon training, when he has to climb up a massive stone tower, pouring oil was an inhibitor there that was trying to get you to slip off of the tower and was not an excellent conductor of Hamon.
The only thing that stays consistent when it comes to this magical power system is the breathing.
Yeah, that's the core.
Breathing matters.
Is the only thing that stays consistent, and it might change later, who knows. But breathing and water are the two things. Water is always an issue, but you can use Haman to manipulate water, but if you're in water, you're fucked. The moment you're inside of it, you're
also,
fucked.
ice does not count.
On top or move it. And, my cat is fucking with my hand. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted from pets. But, the other thing is breathing.
Yeah.
You have to be able to breathe. You have to be able to move your hands. If you're underwater, you gotta lift a random rock and get air.
Also, it can help, heal you, and, use telekinesis on some objects and make bubbles with soap that you can shoot at people. Punch stuff through frogs. You punch stuff through frogs. You can do that.
Okay, that's the thing. You can use your Haman energy to punch a frog, but have the energy go through the frog without harming them and crush the rock underneath. Couldn't Joseph or even Lisa use that same technique to save Suzuki when she's being possessed by ECDC?
Yes.
They could have done that. Why didn't they do that, guys? They did it to a frog.
No, actually, also Hamon sometimes has a charge like an electrical current, and you can manipulate two oppositely charged Hamon to do stuff. You can dislocate your shoulder for a punch that's like a couple extra inches long and hurts like heck. But I guess they just sort of keep doing that because you can use the Hamon to heal your shoulder.
The first Zeppelin or Zeppeli gives these basic ground rules for it, and then when you meet Caesar, he's like, "Fuck those rules! Those rules are gone. They don't exist anymore."
It's very Hamon can charge stuff and do whatever, and you just have to consider like what does and doesn't conduct it, and also the breathing. Those are kind of the things that like are repeated motifs. Like some stuff can carry Hamon, and when the Hamon is in stuff, it can do kind of whatever it wants to. Also, the Hamon is like sunlight and burns vampires.
Yes.
Sure.
Fist sunlight.
Which, hey, look, for all the...
Didn't Dio use Hamon, though?
That's... No. The only vampire adjacent monster that uses Hamon is, Cars at the very end.
Okay.
When he becomes the ultimate life form. Not Shadow the Hedgehog.
No.
Not Shadow the Hedgehog. It was Cars that was the ultimate life form, actually.
Yeah,
it's why I have hope for Jojo to continue after fighting the ultimate life form. I mean, Sonic did so well immediately after the release of Shadow ultimate life form. And so
all
hey,
right,
can I just like, okay, Hamon is a magic system, weird and inconsistent.
Yes.
It has a few basic ground rules that are like come up enough, and the general like what needs to happen for stuff to work is kind of consistent. Like I keep saying, you know, you gotta breathe. You got to get the Hamon into the thing, and then whatever can happen. Those are all that you need to know, really. You know, it could be more consistent, but it doesn't have to. At least those are consistent. The vampires and the pillar men. The vampires and the pillar men can just do whatever. There are no rules.
Yeah.
Dio gets vampire powers. First off, it makes sense. He sucks blood, avoids sunlight, super strong, cool. He's a Dracula. I can follow a Dracula. He
raises the dead out of nowhere, then loses that power.
He raised the dead with the throw. Sure, whatever. He's a Dracula. I can follow. Whatever. And then suddenly it turns out he has like super control over the matter in his body, such to the extent that he can just vaporize all. No, but he's not. It would make sense if he evaporates all the blood in his body, or does he like he does something with all the blood in his body to make it like necessitate absorbing all the energy, the thermal energy around him, so he can freeze stuff. What I'm trying to say is there's a long, elaborate explanation as to why Dio can freeze stuff, specifically the limbs of Hamon users. And it's just, that's the tip of the, forgive me, iceberg. Because then we meet the Pillar Men, who are the things that made vampires, mostly so they could eat vampires, who can, like, absorb things just by touching them, by sucking them into their body. They're very, like, you know what they are? I'm gonna end my rant shortly here, because I'm just so confused by them, and, like, some control wind, and some have bone, flesh, chainsaw blades that pop out of their arm, like a Pokemon, and then I just,
like a Pokemon.
Okay.
Like a Pokemon.
Satana, I choose you!
Okay, so here's the thing. Okay. They just, like, I think the rule with the, like, Pillar Men is they can just sort of do whatever and there are no rules, right? Like, it's like, we need to read
I think there's
The Immortal Hulk at some point, because they keep doing a bunch of stuff that I think inspired The Immortal Hulk. Like, eating people with their bodies, and body parts kind of going whatever, and still being in control.
Keep describing The Immortal Hulk, and I get scared the more you mention it, because this shit does not make sense to me with what I know about The Incredible Hulk.
No, the Immortal Hulk breaks all the rules, and that's the point. Like, it explicitly says that, no, there are no more rules. Like, that is, I think, a line in the text is that there are no rules. It's very... We're gonna have to do an episode, actually, about the Immortal Hulk, now that I've made the connection.
There are two rules with the Pillarmen and vampires. That makes sense to me. I think, like, common users, they have specialties, and I think the specialties can sometimes tie to elements or specific body parts.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because Cars is the blades coming out of his arms.
Yes, he's got the fleshbone mirror chainsaw.
Wamu is wind.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the other. AC/DC was mind fucking.
Also, he had veins.
Mind fuck
Also, he had
people.
the veins.
No, yeah, but those were connected to his mind. His mind could poison other people using his veins. His mind was the weapon.
Oh.
And then the first one, who was just so powerful and so strong and did so much, and he's not memorable.
His power was just being, like, the first introduction to this new power level.
Yeah. I think it's supposed to be the opposite of Haman, where, like, they can do anything and everything like Haman users can, but they can't walk in sunlight, they can't use Haman, and their powers also have specialties. Like, Caesar has the bubble shit, which bubbles are not intimidating. I'm not gonna be intimidated by them. Stop trying to make me intimidated by bubbles, okay? Closest you're ever gonna get is fucking Powerpuff Girls.
It's a little big problem, honestly.
2. Not even Haman users, not all their special abilities are related to elements either, but sometimes body parts, because Jonathan's was like a specific kind of attack. His was like either an elbow thing or a fist thing.
His
I don't
Haman
remember. I didn't really care
overdrive.
about him. Yeah. So there's that. It's just, I think they're just supposed to mirror each other.
Okay.
I think that's the point of them. So
Well, yeah,
Haman
that
doesn't
that
make
was the
sense,
point.
the Pillarmen aren't gonna make sense. Alright. Okay. So,
That is accurate, yes.
It's so...
We-
Because it's just...
we don't, it's confusing,
There's... Yeah.
and it's interesting,
Oh, it is.
and we could spend all night talking about
I look forward
it,
to the...
but,
I look forward to figuring
I
out
love this
stands
is-
in the future, because I feel like stands
Oh,
will
yes.
at least make more sense.
Oh,
holy
yes.
shit, we do have stands coming.
Because the
The
thing about, like,
yes,
the Haman and the
stands.
vampires that bugs me is not that, like, they're kind of weird and eclectic. I can deal with weird and eclectic. It's just that they're not established to be eclectic, I guess. The implication is that they're, like, one is a specific martial art, and one is just a thing you can be. And there's at no point does it imply that there'd be, like, an eclectic collection of powers. Because, like, with things like the X-Men or, like, Ruby, I get the sense, you know, there's a reason why everyone has a different power, and it's all, and can be literally anything. Like, that's the expectation going in. But with this, it tries to imply that there's some, like, grand unified magic system, and then actually there's 2 unified magic systems, and then actually, screw you, no rules.
As someone who has seen all of Ruby, you're not incorrect in the point you're making, but Ruby is more like Jojo than it is like there's a reason for the powers.
It's not, yeah.
May I
Some people
mention?
never get powers, and it's never explained why.
It's, yeah.
Some people have to nearly die in order to get powers. It's never
Okay,
explained
Avatar, maybe. Instead of Ruby, I said Avatar, let's pretend.
why. Okay.
Avatar.
I'm just
The
throwing that out
Avatar.
there. Ruby's a lot closer to this than you would think. But we
May
do
I
have
say
one more
one thing?
Yes,
subject.
please.
Okay, yes.
May I interrupt? I'm sorry. I'm not the most.
You're the
You're the
host.
host.
You
You
can say
take
whatever
over.
you want,
Okay.
whenever you want.
Okay. I'm just gonna say that if you're looking forward to learning about stands, hoping they make more sense, stop.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Consarn
So, let's get to Beebity Bop Bop Beat Up Bop Bop. That's from that cat Disney movie. What the fuck is that called? Doesn't matter.
Mr. Katz?
No, it's not that one.
No.
It's the Orange Kitty in the city for the first
Oliver
time.
and
Company.
Company.
Yeah, Oliver and Company. That's literally from that opening. Real world context. Let's get
Oh,
to
yes.
the realness, guys.
Into the
fun.
realness.
So much fun.
And here's the thing. Okay, so we're gonna discuss the music inspirations, and then we're gonna get 5 minutes of Nazi ranting, and
Not that kind.
that's what we have for the realness, okay? So, you were insistent on bringing up the music inspirations, so why? I don't think they have much influence on the story at all.
Well, they don't. They're just like a very unique calling card of Jojo, and I love
Yes,
them.
I want to learn more about this, because I knew one character was called AC/DC, and that was it. That was the
Yes.
only musical reference I got, and I was just like, why is this one character named after AC/DC? What is going on here?
Because Rocky likes
Speedwagon and
AC/DC.
Zeppelin. I knew
Because
Speedwagon
Rocky
and
likes
Zeppelin.
AC/DC and REO Speedwagon and Led Zeppelin and several other things. That's
Yeah.
why. That is the reason.
Those were the only 2 I knew about before starting the series, and I'm aware of Jolene, who I was told that if I ever get to watching her arc, I would be very pissed with how they treat her, the one female JoJo.
Well, you can't watch her arc. Yeah, her arc isn't
because
animated yet. You
she's
can't watch
named
it.
after the song Jolene by Dolly Parton. So I know her. I knew that, and then I knew Speedwagon was in this show, and then I knew Zeppelin was in this show.
Oy.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And there's supposed to be a David Bowie lookalike at some point. That's all I know about the music.
Aren't they
industry.
all
yes,
really, in
that's-
a way,
that's
David
brilliant.
Bowie lookalikes?
Yes.
I would argue not. But
Yes.
ECDC was a nice touch. I did get that one. The ones I listed were what I knew before watching the series. Now I'm way aware of more in the show.
AC/DC, Wham, and Cars are all bands.
Wham!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Wamu is Wham?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
his actual name. They couldn't use that because it's trademarked. That's another very amusing thing about JoJo. They have to make approximations for a whole bunch of
Because
these.
Japanese.
I'm
Oh my
surprised
gosh.
I'm surprised you did not pick that up, given how his name is spelled.
I didn't even look at how they spelled his name because you understand. I just Wham. He was Wham. Well, no wonder we liked him, and also no wonder I can't believe it's not homosexual.
There are several other musicians that I'd never heard of that, okay, so random little tangent. I started watching some with my parents
Yes.
to see what they would say. And there are a whole bunch of random characters. They're like, oh, that's what that's supposed to be? Like a bunch of random characters I didn't think twice about, like Tom Petty.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that is
Yeah.
that
Tom
amused
Petty.
me
How
so
could I miss
much.
Tom Petty?
How did you miss him?
It's so
He's right there. He's the guy who influenced and taught all the other ones, Noah.
I heard the name on this watch through. I was like, why does that sound significant? I guess he must come up later. It wasn't. Oh yeah, I've been listening to a bunch of Tom Petty recently.
Holy shit. The one that got me was, I was not aware ECGC was in this, and I heard that, and I was about to go to bed, and I sat up, and I looked at his character, I'm like, you better be cool, cause I swear if you're disappointing, I'm done.
Were you disappointed?
No, I wasn't. He actually lost it longer than I thought he would.
Oh,
brilliant.
boy. So, let the timer show.
See, I just love them because they're just so fun. That's why I love talking about them. There's so many more later that make even less sense and are even funnier.
There
Also,
is
apparently
one-
Dio is a band also. I never heard of it.
Dio is not actually named after a band. Dio is named after Ronnie James Dio,
Okay.
who was a heavy metal singer.
Oh.
Okay.
Did he also
That
burn
is-
dogs?
I
One can
don't
only hope.
think so. No. No.
Gonna have to check the Wikipedia on that one later. I'm not convinced.
Also, Dyer and Strizo, who were introduced to each other, did you guys realize that was supposed to be Dire Straits?
No.
How did y'all? Okay.
I never heard of that.
You
I'm-
have to
I'm not a good fan.
understand, Taylor, my parents listened to, Alanis Morissette when I was growing up.
You have to remember, I'm a Zoomer.
My first CD ever was, her.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
My
Actually, it was Shania Twain was my first one, and then my second one
Also
was her.
a lot of Shania Twain and Gaelic Storm. My first album, however, was Boys in the Sink, which was a VeggieTales album featuring the fake VeggieTales boy band Boys in the Sink.
When did you get that?
I want to hear this. I've never heard of this. This sounds
How
great.
old were you?
Young.
Boys in the Sink.
I was not old. I don't think I have the album anymore, but I have no qualms about finding a way to share it with you otherwise.
Oh, please, yes.
Yes, please. But I just
That's
wanted to
brilliant.
point that stuff out because I knew nearly all the rock band references. Like, I picked up on Stinks and all the others. I did not pick up on the fucking, I did not pick up on the pop ones or the country ones. Which you'd think I would, because my great-grandparents really loved country music, and my mom really loved rock, and then alternative, and then rap. And I ended up going to the folksy stuff, so I was actually proud of how much music I got in this.
Uh-huh.
Just let me have it, guys. The only one I wasn't, 100% sure on was Lisa Lisa, and I knew Loggins was Kenny Loggins, but I did not know who Messina was supposed to be. Messina, I don't know.
I clearly wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I don't know much in the very beginning here. There are way more very obvious ones later that are very funny.
Oh no.
You remember me telling you about those, Taylor? Remember?
What's oh no?
Yeah, I do. I'm on the Wikipedia page to look at this stuff. And, so Von
what are you seeing?
Stroheim, this is gonna tie into our 5-minute rant on Nazi. Von Stroheim is possibly named after an Austrian-born actor called Erich von Stroheim. It's not confirmed, but it's possible. And
Okay.
I'm just hoping he's not Jewish. I'm just hoping it didn't go that far. I'm reading his background right now, because if you're gonna name, if there's any characters who should not be named after people, it's the Nazis. Don't name the Nazis after people.
Simple rule of thumb. Don't.
Don't. Unless they were also a Nazi, which maybe they were because they were from Austria, but I don't know. I'm looking.
Oy.
It's just, listen, you don't gotta do that. Oh my gosh, I really hope, because he was the son of Benno Stroheim, a middle-class hat maker, and Johanna Brody, both of whom were observant Jews.
Oh.
Oh, that got way more awkward.
Oh.
Okay, so now that we're on the topic of Nazis,
All right.
what the
Nazi
fuck
time.
is this show's issue with making the Nazis seem like decent people?
Yeah, okay, let the
Emma,
record show.
explain this to me. Why?
I can't.
Let the record show the timer starts now for our 5-minute ranting about why did this show...
Like the record show that this is not my fault.
Boy next door.
Mark was just
No.
the boy next door. He was engaged. He was, he had so much to live for. Mark the Nazi.
Mark the Nazi, Caesar's closest friend.
Caesar's closest friend, Mark the Nazi.
Who he introduced to his wife.
I met his wife.
No, he introduced them.
Oh.
Their fiancés, they were supposed to get married when Mark went back home, which is why it was supposed to be so sad when he died. And Caesar is the one who introduced him to his fiancée. I was there and introduced the two, is what he says, putting his arm around Mark like he's so great.
Ay.
And you don't have to.
You just don't actually have to hand it to him.
It's just, okay. Okay, cool. Since we have 5 minutes, just real quick, we're gonna list a few things off. Don't give the Nazis happy endings. Even if they die in the ending, if that's what they wanted, don't give them happy endings. I feel like that should be rule of thumb. If you introduce a character as a Nazi who's torturing people, that's very clear that's not supposed to be a great character. Don't make him such close friends with your main character if you want us to still like the main character. Third rule. If you want to explore great characters or people who were normal people forced into the Nazi party, fine. I can get behind that. That's not what they were doing. That's not what happened. That isn't what occurred. No, just don't.
Our main Nazi character for the day is not Mark the Nazi who dies and was engaged, and it's so sad. Our main Nazi character is a man named...
May I pause for a second?
Oh, yes.
May I just say, okay, Taylor, so what are your rules about making them cyborgs?
If you're gonna make them a cyborg and have them still be a villain, sure. I thought how Santana was coming back was he was going to possess the Nazi von Stroheim, our main Nazi, and
Our main Nazi. A thing you can say about this show.
Oh, God damn it. I thought he was gonna possess him and then come back as a villain helping the Pillarmen. But he's a hero? He saves Joseph so Joseph can save the world?
He died heroically at Stalingrad.
No! That's not heroic! Fuck that! He died proving how Germany had such great
He really did. He was
technology.
so vocal and supportive of Germany's superior scientific technology. So much so that he became a cyborg to demonstrate Nazi Germany's superior technology.
At least in Helsing, the Nazis are bad guys.
And it's the thing, because they're not the bad guys, is the thing that I cannot stress enough.
That's the issue.
Yeah, so my warning for you at the beginning was not enough. Is
Yeah,
what you're saying.
when I had watched up to episode 19, that's up to the point where the Nazis have appeared, once or twice, and they're doing research on the Pillar Men because they're doing their thing from Raiders of the Lost Ark, because they're doing their study of all the supernatural stuff, and you assume that they're going to play the same role they do in Raiders because you're a buffoon, such as I.
When actually Nazis' influence on anthropology mostly came in the form of trying to prove race is an actual physical, biological thing you can prove, and actually determine if someone was a good person or not. That's what Nazis tried to use anthropology to
Race science, baby. It was a thing that happened and continues to happen. So like you expect
We progressed.
Sorry.
We progressed, truly.
We've truly come so here. The thing, like the Nazis are introduced again, as Taylor was saying, executing a bunch of, Mexican, civilians who they've captured for the purpose of executing an evil experiment that will release untold evil upon the world. And then later we meet up with them again and we team up to fight with the now cyborg von Stroheim to try and fight this evil again. And we're just kind of bros now with the Nazi. They're never like having the same
they'll hold off the zombie hordes while Joseph does the important.
Yeah, I guess so. And it's not like they're having the same like close intimate relationships as they're having with each other. Our main characters, our Caesars, our Speedwagons, our Jojos. But
they're there for jokes.
But they are there and they're having jokes, and they also have at the end, when Speedwagon comes into the end to help fight the Pillars, and he's like, "Don't worry, I've been collaborating with the Nazis to make anti-vampire weaponry." And and the Nazis come in equipped with anti-vampire weaponry, and they team up with the Nazis to fight the vampires because I guess we're just kind of partnered with the Nazis now. It's never like they never say it's because it. Sorry, okay. Here's the thing, because and that they have this like they never say that like they're reluctant allies or like I don't like working with Nazis. It's always like, no, we are just working with the Nazis now. And also Jojo eventually says it's a pity that the war is on and we have to fight each other because I do really respect this man von Stroheim, and I guess I do gotta hand it to German science for him being a cyborg and all.
and two things on that. When Speedwagon introduced the Nazis there as allies, he refers to von Stroheim as his boy, which rubs me the wrong way, and just, Speedwagon, I liked you so much, but what the
As
fuck,
the Speedwagon stand you are.
What the fuck?
You do not.
And then,
in fact,
first off, he kidnapped you and tried to kill you. Second off, they're Nazis, buddy. And like, here's the thing. World War II is happening at the very beginning of the series. The series takes place while World War II is already occurring. It's already brewing. It's already in the works to start and is going on by the time the characters get around to doing anything or even confronting the Nazis the first time. So, Jojo has been fighting, his country has been fighting the Nazis the entire time of the anime, almost. It's not just that it's happening right at the end, it's that it's been happening and he just ignored it until right then. And
Speedwagon, gets tortured by the Nazis at the start of the season, and he's still teaming up with the Nazis at the end.
I thought where the story was going is that Nazis are shitty, awful people. They should never be worked with or cooperated with, and they treat people horribly, and that's why people walk away being worse. Because how we're introduced to them is that, hey, look, we're experimenting, we're torturing, we're being shitty. And then Santana is being treated like this fucking degenerate who doesn't have intelligence and isn't even a living being. And then Joe is like, hey, that's fucked up. Maybe give him a little bit respect. And then Joseph's like, oh wait, he walked away while I was talking to him. Fuck it, let's fuck this guy up. Come on, Nazis.
It's so...
I thought they were gonna be the main bad guy. I thought the Pillar Men were gonna side with the Nazis, except for Santana, and that Santana and Jojo were gonna take down the Pillar Men and the Nazis.
You do not. In fact, gotta hand it to them.
Okay, we've gone a little over 5 minutes.
We've gone a lot.
God
yeah,
damn.
There's a lot to get through. Anyway, the more than 5 minutes is over. which, thankfully brings us around to, let's see here. We're kind of short on time here. So I'll just, jump ahead. Does anybody have any favorite quotes from the season? Because, just to brighten the mood after the Nazis, I want to hear some of the best quotes from this an incredibly quotable show.
Thundercross Split Attack.
Feather what now?
Thundercross Split Attack. How could you forget Thundercross Split Attack?
Oh,
Thundercross Split Attack.
Mine have gotta be, why is nobody taking my small metal balls seriously? Followed by then, I've been doing my hum and trading all the day long.
I don't know, all my favorite, all the quotes that, okay, oh my gosh, it is so much. So many of my quotes are just them gotta handing it to Nazis and, fascists. Let's see here. This is one of the Pillar Men. Say hello to the wedding ring of death. Guess where it goes? Not on your finger.
Was that, I can't remember if that was WAMU or ECDC.
I think it was WAMU.
I think it was WAMU. And again, blonde villains.
Oh, let's see here.
Dude, a slightly serious one that really made me think and look forward to where the show was going with this was when Joseph yelled, "Family that died long before you came along and you've never met doesn't mean crap." And Caesar's just ready to beat the shit out of him. And that was interesting because it shows how Joseph is very much family is who I know and who's been around to help me. And Caesar's family is who has affected the way your life is, even if you've never met them, and you should know how that affects things.
If this was a show
Joseph
with coherent
here
themes, that would seem significant, given this is a generational show.
Yeah, you'd think. I thought we were gonna go more into that.
Let's see here.
No, it was building up to Caesar sacrificing himself.
I've got one more quote here I do want to get through. This is Dio in episode 9, The Final Ripple, the end of the first arc. "I will take the body of the only man I respect."
Emma, do you got any?
The Thundercross Split Attack.
That's, you know what? That's a good one. Okay.
I love all of Dio's "I want your body really bad, Jonathan" quotes.
Y'all went to a different place than I did with the series.
I can read people like a book, but these two people have stories that Speedwagon don't want to hear. Thank you very much.
You know what? The Nightingale Speedwagon quote. I love it. I love it. I love it. It does not matter. It does not mean anything in the long term, but come on.
Give my best to Speedwagon in hell! I blew out the mic
fuck
there.
Joseph for that. Joseph straight up said Speedwagon's going to hell when he dies. And you know what? The man deserved better before he started working
He
with
did
Nazis.
predict his descent into Nazi sympathizer / collaborator.
I like Speedwagon, but the moment he started working with Nazis, yeah, he deserved
in hell!
I had a similar, arc with Joseph. I loved him, and now I don't.
Yeah. I mean, he does get racist. So,
he does actually.
There's more shit later in the series that makes it even worse. If you
Okay.
Let me just read my notes. Final episode. My first image of old man Jojo. Let's see here. Okay. Old Jojo, hot. Old Jojo, racist. What the frell?
So here's the thing. That scene literally did not have to play out that way because he could have just kicked the dude for running his luggage into his legs.
He could have done anything else, yeah.
He could have done anything else.
If he had just beaten him up normal, I wouldn't have been upset. But then he was like, wait, are you Japanese?
Joseph is what...
And then...
Well, you see, this is what Americans are like, according to this Japanese man.
Just listen. It's right after World War II. There was a lot of stigmatization going around during that time about who could be trusted and who could not because of World War II and the Cold War right after. But that's not why Jojo is that way. That's not why Joseph's like that.
They just straight up said
he's like that way because
with Nazis.
He's like that way because
he's like that way because his daughter married a Japanese man and lives in Japan, and he hates all of Japan for stealing his daughter. And
it's really annoying that he has to get on a plane to go see his
daughter. If we want to continue the argument that this show is just heightening all the things, to make and accidentally making a point about all the things. A man being upset that his white daughter was stolen by people of color and that being the foundation of his racism isn't that far off.
Holy
Noah.
fuck, you're right.
Oh, Noah.
It's not
All
not
right.
based
There
on
was
something
okay.
significant.
Favorite quotes did not end well.
Okay,
Holy fuck.
quotes did not
So
end well. Let's try this again. Look, Emma, we've gone through this. We've had a lot of fun here today. We've gone over our time by 10 minutes. Suffice it to say, I just want to ask you, what are your thoughts? Having taken us, I guess, through Jojo, you know, how are you feeling?
I found this delightful, and I'm about to take another friend through JoJo. She volunteered. It's her loss.
Awesome.
I love this show.
Mhm.
It gets better. Like the beginning is like universally not everyone's favorite. Everyone's favorite is the stuff that happens afterwards. Don't you worry. And God willing, I will make you watch that too.
I look forward to you coming back again. I really hope you do. This was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
I can't wait for you to come back
Also,
again.
Noah.
Yes.
Even
Noah,
if it
I have some
requires
bad
more
news.
Oh
JoJo.
no.
I have some bad news. So, I promised you I'd be wearing my hat during this, and I haven't been because I need the headphones
Oh
on.
my gosh.
I
How
know,
could you
I'm so
not wear
sorry.
your JoJo hat?
I would love to. I am in spirit. My headphones make it impossible.
Oh boy.
That's so sad.
Well, you'll have to, you'll have to somehow be holding the hat when we do the next one. Just like have it in your hands.
Okay, yes,
No.
I will.
No,
I can be holding all my dolls in my hands the whole time.
this time we have 2 newbie reviews to
Yes.
get through. Would you like to start?
Okay, yeah, sure. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. If you're a fan of camp, if you're gay, if you are if you are not gay but are, find a great deal of enjoyment from, erotic gay media or just like normal hyper heightened heterosexuality, big quotes, this is the show for you. It is crazy, it is out there, it is wild, it is bizarre, and it is a trip. If the idea of watching an anime that is bizarre, wild, out there, a trip has no status quo, is always moving forward, has all sorts of bizarre, unique, and yet also very derivative magical systems, characters that are super two-dimensional and are constantly doing the like twist reveal in the middle of their fights. Like, if that sounds like your bag, you gotta watch this, and I recommend watching this with other people just so you can like share it together.
May I say a thing? That's kind of like that. Okay, so this series is nonsense. So much doesn't make sense. So much isn't worded well at all. So much is just random, and the characters are very like easy to describe in one phrase. Like this is the prompt. Here's your character. There you go. Good guy, Jonathan. There we go. And it's like I shouldn't care as much as I do, and yet I care so much about what's happening. I love this. I don't know why entirely, but it's the greatest. And yeah,
Listen, I don't care.
I should not feel disconnected to everything. Taylor, you
am-
betrayed me.
I'm sorry. I love you. You are a dear close friend to me, and I have the utmost respect for you, and I will watch the rest of the series if you want me to, Emma. But I could not bring myself to care about anything that was happening at any given moment in time.
Really?
In the series. There was 2 instances I actually cared about what was happening, and that was 1, Speedwagon seeing Jonathan and Arena off, and I was like, he's gotta go help take care of their kid, he better go join the family,
Mhm.
he better join them in America. Then they didn't even stay in America. And, Wamu dying. Those were my 2. And the show is alright. It's very stylistic. It's for people with very specific tastes. That taste is not mine. And honestly, I think a lot of what put me off is all the blatant sexism, all the blatant racism. And it's not even that it's in there to fit the time period. It's just in there to be in there.
Yeah.
If it was there for historical context, like, hey, this happened a lot, or even if the story was trying to make a point on any of it, that would be fine. I read I literally read history books all the time, and diaries written by people who existed centuries ago who did not have great ideas about other groups of people. It's part of my job. But this just felt like it was in there to be part of the joke. And that really rubbed me the wrong way with the series and really made it harder for me to grow attached to a lot of the main characters. That's just my personal opinion. I am totally down to watch the rest of this, especially if it's for Emma and to bring her back onto the show.
Aww.
But the show itself was not for me. I will
And
say
that
this,
is
it
fine.
was hilarious. It did make me laugh. I'll give
fine
it that.
In spite of everything I say about this being God's gift to mankind, I respect your opinion.
Thank you. And I respect yours.
I really hope we can get you back on in the not too distant future, because this was a blast. Even though I did crank down like 13 hours of anime in 2 days, it was
Holy shit! Even I spreaded it out more.
it was a blast. It was quite a fun time.
Seeing your guys' like live commentary appear in real time in the Discord chat was amazing. And I hope you forgive all the stupid like image spam.
I'm sure.
No, you don't have to apologize for that. That was great.
I look forward to understanding more of it. So, hey, before we sign off here, I think that the listeners do deserve to know what's coming up next week. What is coming up next week? Remind me. I believe
we have another guest.
Yes, we are taking a bit of a break from the long month of dragons. If you hadn't noticed, the long month got so long that it actually crashed into a bunch of other plans that we've put together.
Finals, guys.
Finals.
I'm sorry.
Turns out, finals. Whoops. We'll work on our scheduling in the future. Suffice it to say, we've got a big chunk of other guests coming along here. Next week, guest. What were we watching with this guest?
Next week is a friend of mine named Shelby, who shall be on here to discuss the movie The Tree of Life with us, which is right up Noah's alley because it's all about theme and symbolism and like
smart
the
things.
stuff he gets into every time he's on.
No,
the
you don't
podcast,
understand.
Which is every
my
podcast.
comfort zone is trying to find theme and smart stuff on top of like children's media, My Little Pony. I don't actually watch real movies.
Well, this is a real movie.
Oh no.
It's got Brad Pitt and Sean Penn in it, if you know who those actors are and care. I could not pick Brad Pitt.
If you know who Brad Pitt is.
But
I mean, I couldn't pick him out of a lineup. I just know that he is a person that exists.
I know he's a person
I know
who
Brad Pitt lives
exists.
here on Special.
That's it. And
He was
after
Metro
the
Man.
Tree of Life, we have another guest who's bringing on a book for us to read.
Oh, yes. After that, we will be joining my friend Billy, who will be taking us through the first book in a series. What is it called? I can't remember. It is the Air Chronicles. The first book
I think it's the Air Chronicles with Warrior Air is the first
Warrior Air is the first book. It's some fun YA contemporary fantasy. We have already started reading it, and we are already engaging. I assure you, don't worry. It will probably be a lot less weighty than Tree of Life, although I hope you'll join us for both, because I think they're going to be a blast.
I don't know if it will be. I don't know if that's true, but it might be.
We can only speculate at this moment. Suffice it to say, I have been Noah.
Emma has been your host, and we've been your newbies.
Yep.
And I'm Taylor.
My name is indeed Emma.
Yep. And, it looks like we have finally, thank you, Emma, finally caught Jojo's Bizarre Adventure.
It would have been so much better if, it was just a story about Jonathan coming to terms with his sexuality and learning, hey, I don't have to be a compulsory heterosexual man. That's clearly not for me. I don't know why I was trying to be that, but I respect my father and he's that, so maybe that's why.
It would
have been so much better.
I just checked the wiki here. Emma's been hiding it from us Actually, the whole show is about each generation of a family of just gay men slowly discovering, themselves and learning to live their true life as times advance. That was the thing all along. She's been lying to us. This has actually been the intentional text. It was well written and thematically coherent from the start, and we were fools.
Emma, how could you hide that from us?
Just fun, man. I've just been sitting here working on this nonsense anime about nonsense, just out for fun.
You tricked us like Joseph in a fight.
Oh no. Yeah, I did.
You tricked us like Dio tricked George Joestar.
Somehow.
Next thing you're going to say is, you figured out my plan.
Oh yeah, if you did figure out my plan, I gotta say.
Alright, that's it for tonight. Thank you everybody for tuning in.
Yes.
Thank you.
You'll have a pleasant
This is
evening.
great.
Thank you so much for listening. Our intro and outro music are by Amiga Deluxe, and you can find links to both tracks in the description. If you enjoyed the show, give us a follow or leave a review. Anything to help us in our ongoing battle against the demon known as the algorithm. If you'd like to see our faces, you can subscribe to the You Didn't Catch That YouTube channel. We release new episodes every Tuesday. Or, if you want to catch the latest episodes as they're happening, you can follow our Twitch pages linked in the description. We record new episodes every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks again.